What is up, guys? This is your boy and the Matrix, and recently I made a video about Right Stuff being, as they put it, joining Crunchyroll. We're joining the Crunchyroll family. This is a very corporate language, okay? It's a very corporate language. Like, they always frame things in like a togetherness, way. Like, hey guys, you are part of the Walmart family.
Right.
You know very well that Walmart is not your family. Right, but they always frame it that way. So recently, Right Stuff Anime has been bought out by Crunchyroll, aka Sony, right? So Sony bought out Right Stuff Anime, and most likely they're gonna join it with Crunchyroll, right? And because that's where people are gonna buy their stuff, buy their manga, books, audio, apparel, cosplay things, merchandise, all that stuff, right? But I think this is only the beginning, and actually everything started when Sony bought Crunchyroll. And then they decided to join Funimation, make it part of Crunchyroll, because the Funimation brand was already damaged because of all the scandal with voice actors. Right? They ruined it. So they got to cover it. I just put Funimation under the Crunchyroll name. Right? And now it just has a better image. It's almost as if Funimation never existed. Now it's Crunchyroll. Okay? It's always been Crunchyroll. And Crunchyroll has a pretty nice image. Sony's greed. Sony is just going to get more greedy from here on, right? They're going to get more greedy from here on, and there is a rumor. There's a rumor going around. I'm here at GameRant.com saying that Sony is going to buy Square Enix. Sony wants to buy Square Enix, and honestly speaking, we've been hearing this news since like earlier this year. I think since last year. Since last year, we've been hearing about Square Enix possibly joining Sony, being owned by Sony. And if that happens, it's going to be, I don't know. It's going to be game over for Square Enix because they already made bad decisions like getting into NFTs, which people hate. Recently, they started censoring their manga, right? Square Enix started censoring, their manga app, which is Manga Up. Stupid decision. And now, if they join Sony, I think we're just gonna get more censorship, more and more censorship. And you guys remember that Square Enix, they have an ethics department with focus on discrimination, prejudice, and offensive content, right? Which is something that Sony often does, right? So I think this is one of the reasons why maybe Square Enix is thinking about joining Sony, because the two just kind of like. Because what Square Enix is becoming is getting closer to what Sony is becoming, right? Sony owns PlayStation, which is the censor station, and Nintendo is now the uncensored, gaming console. Let's just put it that way. Nintendo is the uncensored gaming console, right? So, much like how Nintendo bought out this gaming studio, this animation studio, I think Sony is also going to start buying anime studios, right? That's the next thing. That's the next step because Sony owns a lot of things. Sony is the number one. Sony has become the overlord of anime. Like, they don't really have much competition. Crunchyroll is the only anime streaming focused website service, right? There is High Dive, but High Dive is brand new. It's really not up to the level that Crunchyroll is. And I think, Sony's just going to start doing what Nintendo did. They're going to start buying animation studios. So, here at TechCrunch says Nintendo acquires CG Animation Studio and renames it Nintendo Pictures. Right? What studio was it? I think it was Dynamo Pictures. It was Dynamo Pictures. And then they changed the name of the company to Nintendo Pictures. And all their employees are now stuck working for Nintendo. So, yeah. There you go. And I was trying to look at the list of anime of specifically anime studios, right? It says what animation does Sony own? And they do own a lot of film companies, like the Sony Pictures. They're the ones that own the Spider-Verse, Sony Pictures Imageworks, Funimation, obviously, right? But they don't own any anime studios. They don't own any anime studios. When I found this out, I was a bit shocked. Like, out of all the things that Sony owns, they don't own any anime studios. And I think that's what's coming next. Because they are the big dogs of anime. They own Crunchyroll. They own Funimation. Right? And yeah, they own Aniplex. But Aniplex is just a production company. They don't own any animation studios. And I think that's what Sony's gonna do next. They're gonna start buying out animation studios. Maybe they're gonna start in America first. They're probably gonna buy 1 or 2 animation studios in America, North America, and then they're gonna move on to Japan, and they're gonna start buying out other studios such as, I don't know, maybe Mappa, maybe Studio with Orange Studios, Studio Peria. All these. They're gonna start looking at anime studios and see which ones they can own, which ones they can buy, and if they don't buy in anime studios, maybe they're gonna buy their producers, which is maybe Shueisha, Kadokawa, and some other companies. So yeah, that's where this is gonna go, because Sony's greed is only gonna grow, right? And I think eventually they will buy Square Enix. I give them like another maybe 5 years, maybe 3 to 5 years for them to buy Square Enix. Right, I think eventually it's going to happen because Square Enix is a company that is in a lot of debt. I mean, they recently sold all their Western IPs. Square Enix sold all of their Western IPs for only $300 million, which is super cheap. They sold it for cheap, man. I mean, like, all those Western IPs, they couldn't even get $1 billion out of them. Square Enix was really trying to get rid of all those Western IPs, but they sold them only for $300 million instead of $1 billion. So Square Enix is really, they're in a bit of ruin. And yeah, so I think that Sony's greed is just gonna go get even worse. And so in the future, expect Sony to start buying out more companies and anime studios. Okay, because they own Crunchyroll, and exclusivity is the name of the game. So this just means that they're just gonna start buying out studios, and they're gonna make exclusive anime for Crunchyroll. I mean, Crunchyroll's already making exclusive shows, but I think they're just gonna make more of those, more Crunchyroll originals. So whatever your thoughts are, make sure to comment below. Tell me what you think and subscribe to the channel, guys. Hit the notification bell for future notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. This is your boy Andy Matrix. Godspeed.